Good morning, everyone. Today, our letter of the day is letter E. And look, there's an elephant. Elephant starts with E. So we're going to read a story about an elephant named Dumbo. Dumbo's Snowy Day. Dumbo was a very special elephant. With his huge ears, he could soar through the sky like a bird. Dumbo performed in a circus with his mother, Mrs. Jumbo. One chilly day, the circus animals were on their way to a new town, but their train, Casey Jr., was struggling to get through the falling snow. His wheels slid on the icy railroad tracks. Finally, Casey Jr. decided it was too dangerous to keep going. The train came to a stop, and everyone waited for the snow to pass. Dumbo was happy that the train had stopped. He'd never played in the snow before. He thought it felt awfully strange as he tried to walk through it. The snow pressed against his feet like cold sand. "You can do it," said Mrs. Jumbo. She gave him a gentle nuzzle. Soon Dumbo got the hang of walking through the snow. He liked the crunch, crunch, crunch sound he heard with every step. All morning, Dumbo and his mother played in the snow. They gathered snowballs together with their trunks. They made snow elephants. They even played hide and seek. But as Dumbo and his mother explored, they got farther and farther away from the waiting train. Suddenly, Dumbo slid down a steep hill. He called after his mother to follow him. But when she reached the bottom of the hill, Mrs. Jumbo realized she couldn't climb back up. Dumbo tried to push. He tried to pull, but nothing worked. Mrs. Jumbo slipped farther down the slope toward a sharp cliff edge. "You will have to fly off and get help," Mrs. Jumbo told him. So off Dumbo flew as fast as his ears would take him. As he soared toward the train, the wind began to blow. It pushed harder and harder against him. The snow stung his eyes and the cold nipped at his toes. Finally, Dumbo's ears got so cold he couldn't fly. As he waited for the wind to pass, he worried about his mother. Once the wind died down, Dumbo raced back to the train. He quickly gathered all the animals together so that they could help. "What are we waiting for?" Timothy Mouse cried. "We've got to save Mrs. Jumbo." Dumbo led his friends back to the cliff. By the time they found Mrs. Jumbo, the windstorm had pushed her even closer to the cliff's edge. The animals knew they had to think of something fast. "Oh dear," worried the giraffe. "How can we get down there to help?" Timothy snapped his fingers. He had an idea. "Everybody line up," he shouted. He ordered the animals to grab one another's tails. At the front of the line, the ostrich leaned over the cliff to take hold of Mrs. Jumbo's trunk. "1, 2, 3, pull!" Timothy yelled. The animals worked together, huffing and puffing, pulling and stretching until Mrs. Jumbo made it safely to the top of the cliff. "Hooray!" everyone shouted. Suddenly there was a loud crack. The cliffside gave away. The animals tumbled down. "Watch out!" yelled the hippo. "Yikes!" cried the monkeys. "Uh-oh," said the giraffe. "Help!" hollered the bear. All the animals tumbled together and rolled down the hill. Before long, they had become a giant snowball. "How do you stop this thing?" Timothy shouted as they zoomed along. The snowball gathered speed until... crash! Bang! Oof! The animal snowball hit the bottom of the hill and broke apart. "Is everyone okay?" Timothy asked as he straightened his hat. Luckily, everyone was fine, just a little dizzy from their unexpected snow ride. All the animals began walking back to the train. Walking wasn't nearly as fast as riding a snowball, but it was a lot less scary. That night, Mrs. Jumbo gave Dumbo a warm bath. "Thank you for flying to get help today," Mrs. Jumbo said to her son. "I'm so proud of you." Dumbo smiled and blew a trunk full of water over his head. "Hey, don't forget about me," said Timothy from his teacup bath. "I helped too." Mrs. Jumbo nodded. "You certainly did. Thank you." "Aw, gee," said Timothy. "It was nothing. Nothing at all." Then it was time for bed. Dumbo snuggled up against his mother, and Timothy nestled underneath Dumbo's ear. "Good night, my darling," Mrs. Jumbo said softly. "Sleep tight," said Timothy. Dumbo fell asleep right away. Tomorrow, he and the circus animals would perform for hundreds of happy children in the new town. But for now, Dumbo was glad to be warm and safe with his mother as the snow fell gently outside. The end. Well, I hope you liked that story. Now we're going to do our letter E activity. So you're going to need a piece of paper and a marker. So I think our letter E is so fun. It's a straight line down. And then we're going to draw 3 lines. One at the top, one in the middle, and one at the bottom. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to draw an elephant. So let's do the head first. So it's kind of like a circle, but we're going to leave space for the trunk. We're going to draw up. Oops, I need to hold that still better. And now we're going to do some ears. He's got 2 ears. So 1 and 2. And we're going to do his back. Let me see if I can get this paper to stay still. We're going to draw his back and his tummy. And then we'll give him 4 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to go up. And he's got a nice little tail. And then we can give him or her some eyes and a nice little smile. Good job. All right, boys and girls, that was our letter E for the day.